Hello everyone, and welcome to a commentary on the speedrun of the Surge. This was a new world record for all bosses, no skips or glitches, in 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 40 seconds. I'll just be showing the run and giving some commentary on the strategies used. Just up above right here, you can see the splits. Bottom center is the timer, which starts as soon as you take control of Warren. Wheelchairing backwards is the fastest way to travel through this segment, and Warren really wants to pirouette and spin around. He doesn't actually like going backwards very much. So you have to be pretty careful with how you direct him. But if you go backwards, you can actually save 15 seconds over going forwards. It doesn't always go this smooth. This is a pretty solid backwards wheelchair section.
Like living life in the fast.
This run saved about 5 minutes over my previous personal best and the previous world record. Most of the time savings comes from just being more minimalistic. Speedruns tend to be about what can you get by without. And previous is picking up lots of implants, lots of scrap heaps to get core power as high as possible. And then I just took a hacksaw to that to see what can I do if I pick up almost no implants and as few scrap heaps as possible, and never go out of my way to get any of them. This hop right here is actually because of how stamina works in this game. So if you run until your stamina is at 0, then you can't run again until your stamina fills up, unless you jump or dodge. However, if you dodge or jump, and then you start walking and your stamina refills, then you can start running whenever you want. So you can tactically leap or jump in order to make sure your stamina is at a certain height at a certain time, or so you can start running at a certain point. And sometimes it's really important to be able to run through an entire room so that you don't get hit by enemies. Or, like right here, you hop, because if you run to nothing, then you have to wait for your stamina to refill all the way up before you can run again. And then you hop, your stamina goes up, and then you can start sprinting, and you maybe save half a second to a second. But there's probably a dozen to 20 places where you can use that over the run, and that saves a bit of time. So I picked up 2 scrap heaps along the way, and that gave me just enough scrap to construct a leg. The legs make it so that you use less stamina when running and dodging, which means having both of them makes the rest of the game faster. The armor that you get in this game, when you have a complete set, you get various upgrades. So what I'm doing now is I am collecting these schematics for the armor. In order to construct armor, you need schematics, sufficient scrap to construct it, and sufficient parts for construction. For a leg, you need 6 leg parts. For an arm, it's 8 arm parts. For a head, it's 10, and for the torso, it is 12. And you get those by killing enemies and cutting off parts of their armor, depending which enemy. What armor we're using, you get different quality parts, which means you can construct different levels of armor or upgrade your armor to a higher level. You can also find pickups. So I found a pickup that gave me 6 leg parts, which is how I constructed the second leg. And then I had 6 arm parts in that same pickup, and with that one arm I got, I could then later on construct the second arm. the game gives you a free arm and a free leg. And I will not be picking up any more head or chest parts, because there are places where you can actually find those as drops on the ground, and you can rescue a guy later on that will give you some of those parts. And they actually give you the level 2 part, so you can construct it as level 2. That hop and that kind of turn the corner is so you don't get shot by the drones. Coming into this door at around 5 minutes is almost ideal. It just means nothing's really gone wrong with the run yet. One small improvement here is just not killing this enemy. And unfortunately, when you kill enemies, you improve your skill with your weapon. And the higher your skill with your weapon, or your proficiency, the more damage you do. So when you speedrun through this game, you don't kill very many enemies, you actually do a lot less damage against bosses than you would do casually. So right now in the bottom left corner, you see this bar that's between 1 and 2, and that's my proficiency. And I'm only going to get to like proficiency 8 by the end of this run.
Bypass successful. Bringing primary weapon online.
The PAX boss, you have to knock the panels off his legs in order to get him to fall to the ground. And then once he falls to the ground, then you can actually do damage. So you can see him hitting him, but his red health bar isn't moving. Also when you hit him, he has this orange bar underneath, that's his like threat protection level. And once it gets full, he does this, so he should drop protection. You can get the rockets to hit himself, but if you do that, then the weapon you get from defeating him is not as good. And it's the weapon I'm going to use for the rest of the game, so I really need every little bit of damage. So his panel's off his left leg, and as soon as that panel goes off, he starts stomping. My strategy for recycling the PAX robot is to slide attack and do that 3 slide attack combo once he collapses. Let my stamina come up and then just do regular horizontal attacks. Also, when the panel's off his foot, sometimes he just stands there and you can just keep hitting his leg. And now if the second panel's off, he'll do some more stomping attacks. Slide into his balanced foot. Slide attacks. Stamina goes up a little bit. Give some more. But you can only do so much damage to each side of him. He has 3 points you can hit that will do damage. The front left, front right, and then a back panel. So I just slide into the side panel and then I start hitting his back. If I kept hitting the same side, I would have maxed out that side and would have just stopped doing damage to it.
Next stop, Central Production B. Personnel arrival.
So the main time saves in the first section were not picking up a handful of scrap drops.
You seem to be lost.
You run over there so that way when the drone comes out, you go straight to the door and starts unlocking it.
I can help. Help here.
If you don't get the pickup first, then he doesn't go to the door until you go to the door, and then it takes a couple extra seconds. So this is probably the farthest I go out of my way to pick up a implant that I don't end up using, that I just deconstruct. And that's because that one's worth that 2,000 scrap. And when I finish with the next section up ahead, I'm going to need almost every single bit of scrap that I've collected so far. So you go to 14, deconstruct the implants that you're not going to use, bank them, because we're going to die pretty soon. Intentionally.
Services are limited. Come back anytime. We apologize for any inconvenience.
This little side hallway I ran down earlier, just before entering the command center, was in order to pick up 3 tungsten alloys. Those used to upgrade your weapon. Then I'm going to pick up 6 level 2 head parts and 6 level 2 chest parts over here. And then I'm about to rescue a guy to give me 6 more level 2 tungsten alloys, level 2 head parts, and level 2 chest parts. And that is this guy. Next time you see him at the medbay area, or command center, he will give you all those level 2 parts. And with those, you can construct the head, the chest, and upgrade your weapon. So deconstruct your scrap heaps that you picked up. Talk to the guy, get your stuff. You have to make sure you actually talk to him and let him go through a couple dialogue bits before he gives it to you, because you can actually prevent him from giving you that stuff if you leave too soon. And then you kind of run out and run back in, so that way you don't stay in the dialogue. Because if you're stuck in the dialogue, you can't then upgrade your stuff. Now that we have our head, our level 2 head, our second arm, we don't have enough to construct the chest yet, but we'll be getting that after biolabs. Then we can just run to the boss. I might avoid getting that pickup in the future, just a little bit out of the way. And I hop there because I want the stamina to get by that guy. And I hop here because I want the stamina to get through this bridge where everyone shoots you a lot.
I don't know if you made it out of recycling.
Casually, that is a really, really, really tough bridge to get through.
But if you can, meet me at the outbound station.
The item I picked up there is the concussive module.
Stay safe. I'll be waiting.
It's where the drone is used to knock people down.
We can make it together.
And there's a couple places where that really comes in handy in the run, because you can knock an enemy out of the way.
This has been again. I'm still waiting at the outbound station. I want to try and get to the old biolabs. I'm hoping it's safer there. But I'm not leaving without you. I know recycling in the waste.
So normally, this guy would come by, swing at you, you then target him, you beat him up, and you can charge your drone. But instead, I ended up targeting a drone that had followed me that was pretty far away, and that guy just chased me around until the elevator came. So that was abnormal and a little bit panic-inducing. This is one of those, you jump there, so your stamina goes up, and then you can start running again before the next jump. You overcharge this so you can get through that door behind me. And the best way to get by enemies that are right next to you is just to jump over them if you're cornered. Also, in case you can tell, whenever you are in the middle of an animation where you're interacting with an object, you are invincible. So while I was overcharging that door, I couldn't be hit. And in fact, it seems like most places where you overcharge doors, enemies are swinging at you while you do it.
I'm not giving up on you. I won't hear it said that Benjamin Burke let down his team.
It's extra endurance for later on.
I've marked the way to the outbound station.
Contamination detected. Lockdown in operation.
So with this boss, 2 slide attacks followed and then 1 follow-up against a limb will, oops, I missed there, will knock it off. So slide, and then the next time that leg comes down, you just slide and keep comboing. And then with the non-front 2, he kind of moves away, but if you use your drone will knock it down for you after your first swing. Just get close, target this guy, try and target the bottom area. Slide in, ground pound, jump out, slide in, leg spin, and just try and get him to cycle through this. As long as he keeps doing these 2 attacks, you're fine. And I don't shoot him there because the drone wouldn't have killed him. And if you're not targeting an enemy, when you have enough energy to use your drone, it charges it. So that way you can use the empowered version even if you don't have any core power to use it with. Okay, so for anyone unfamiliar with the game, there's 3 different bars in the top left corner. There's the red bar, which is your health, the green bar, which is your stamina, and then there's a blue bar that fills up when you hit enemies. That is your core power, the energy that's in your rig. And that can be used to perform finishing moves, and it can be used to use your drone. And there's also some other implants that you get throughout the game that you can use core power with. You can pick up items to make it so your core power when you hit enemies goes up faster, so you have a higher pool for your core power. I don't use any of those because I just need stamina to run and health to not die.
Attention, please. Access restriction for this sector remains in effect. Hazard response teams have been requested. Please remain in operation.
So this is Resolve Biolabs. It's really just a run through the level, try not to die. Really, it's relatively easy to not die. The 2 flamethrower guys at the end kill me, and that guy surprised me quite a bit. He is not normally there. So one obvious time save is getting to this overcharged panel and then to the elevator without killing them. However, the couple times I've tested it, I tend to get cornered in here and slaughtered. So finding a consistent way to do that is on the to-do list. One reason you can skip going to the med bay at the start of this area is because there's a health pull-up right here. And when you kill the previous boss, it'll give you some health refills. There's sort of a lesser-known mechanic in this game where whenever you gain scrap from killing enemies, there's this grayish bar behind your scrap counter that goes up. And the amount of scrap you need to get it to the end is based on how much scrap you have and the core level for your rig. So the higher core level you are, the more scrap you need to fill it up. And how much you need corresponds to how much scrap you need to get to the next core level. But when that fills up all the way, it gives you back all of one of each of your equipped injectables. So when you kill a boss, you're going to get enough scrap to get to the next core level, which means all of the injectables that you have equipped, you'll get one back of each. And since you can very reasonably get to that health refill with one of the each of the health injectables that I had equipped, you just don't need to go to that med bay at the beginning. The way you refill health in the game are implants, so you equip to your rig. And the two I have right now is one's a slow health regeneration over time, which I think I'm just about to use. You'll see it light up. It's underneath my health and stamina. It's this little circle. I hope I use it soon. If I don't use it soon, that means I wasn't really paying attention.
Lockdown deactivated.
So here I open this door, and while I'm doing the button push animation, I was invincible, so the dog jumping into me,
Please return to your designated workplaces.
It really wasn't going to hurt me. It looks scary though. So I finally used the health injection, and this is the refill over time. And there's some stamina that I'm going to be able to use later. And these 20s are a lot harder speedrunning than they are casually. Because I don't have a full set of armor yet, and those flamethrowers do a lot of damage pretty fast. So I use my drone to knock one of them back, so it's not shooting at me while I try to kill the other one. And ideally you kill one while the other one's getting up, and then that way you can fight them one-on-one.
You can keep the power core, by the way. Your drone looks like it needs...
So these are all the consumables that I've picked up. And then I also picked up one or two injection implants. That'll give me a couple thousand more. Because you really want as much as you can have for the next big fight, which is Big Sister. And she's one of the big hurdles of the run. So I think it's like 25 or 26. And that allows me to get an additional implants for health, and then a health bonus, a stamina bonus, and equip the rest of my armor.
Please remember, safety at work is
300 scrap to spare.
And should be yours.
Next stop, Central Production B, outbound trains.
The load times for my system are pretty long. Actually, watched one of my runs side by side with the previous world record holders. And I think I was losing like 10 seconds per load screen. It was pretty ridiculous. Maybe I'll find a way to do one of those like Dark Souls timers where it pauses during the load screens. Yeah. So the thing you got at the end of the biolabs was basically what allows your drone to open this door, and maybe one door later on. It's basically a door opening implant or something. So you go to Battle Labs for a different reason, but at the end of Battle Labs, you get something that can let you go elsewhere. My main time saves in the cooling tower is just not picking up as much stuff. There's an implant I skipped. I want this because this is an upgrade for your arm and leg armor. And then this is one of the vital boosts, or basically it's your ability to heal, which is maybe necessary later on. It's one of those things where maybe I can skip that one in the future, but the less you have going into the very end of the game, the more uncomfortable you are and the easier it is to die. My previous routes were on the comfortable side, or the relatively comfortable side, getting lots of stuff, and now it's how uncomfortable can you make it and still survive. So skipping that one would be getting into the highly uncomfortable range. I also learned recently, for these guys, if you do the slide attack and then the horizontal attack, slide horizontal, then vertical, plus you shoot them with your drone, you can two-cycle each of the cranes. And I think my drone actually killed that one. Also, potential time savings in the future. Killing these crane arm things with the torches isn't strictly necessary. When you kill bosses in this game, if you kill them in certain ways, then you can get some sort of bonus. And killing the first boss without having to shoot himself with his rockets gave me a better weapon. The way you get the better weapon for this boss is you don't kill all the crane arms. Instead, you only kill like at most 2 of them. But you can theoretically kill this boss without killing any of those crane arms. The problem is, during this section, they're still trying to stab you, which makes it really hard. But if you can do it, it's more or less 30 seconds of savings. I tried it. It took me about a dozen tries. So that's something that will be further tested in the future. Also, I learned the way this guy moves his arms is dependent upon the attack he does first. So if he swipes to the side, he then puts his arms to the side. If he goes up in the air, he's going to put his arms vertical, because depending on how he puts his arms is how you can hit him. So you can actually start your attacks with the correct directional attack, just based on how he tried to attack you. It wasn't until I was testing out the hardcore kill on him that I realized that. But that definitely makes it easier, because there's been times where you try to swing at him, you swing the wrong direction, you swing horizontal, he puts his arms up like this, it just bounces off. Or you swing vertical, he puts his arms horizontal, and he blocks you. So as you can see in the splits above, my first 4 splits, actually my first 5 splits, 3 of them were gold, and then Biolabs and Abandoned Production were both like within like 2 seconds of my gold split. Part of that is because this is a new route for me, trying to be more minimalistic, so I only have a couple runs that have gone through these sections using these strategies. So it's pretty easy to get a gold split right now. the major time save for R&D is not going to the med bay and command center
I must say I'm surprised management was
at the start. So whatever I finished Big Sister with in terms of implants, I probably get one back for each, and then you just start running through R&D trying to get to the health refill station without dying. And normally it's not that hard to get past enemies, but on the way you also have to start collecting your parts for the upgraded, for the level 3 weapon parts, the level 3 tungsten alloys to upgrade your weapon. Because otherwise you can do way less damage to bosses in the future. And some of these guys you have to fight anyways. So this guy's right in your way. And I need a single arm piece to upgrade my arm. Unfortunately, I didn't let my stamina fill up all the way. And I took some hits. And it seems silly to ride this down, but if you just slide down, take some damage, refill your health, and then get down to the bottom, you actually have to wait for the elevator to get to the bottom anyways, because it starts at the top. So it doesn't lose that much time. And I was pretty low on health injections, and it's a relatively new route for me, so I wasn't sure how many more I'd need. And it turns out I needed every single one of them. So that was a safe bet. And no one in here does a whole bunch of damage to you really fast. I probably waited way too long to activate my slow health regen, because I think I almost died here, just from because you still take gas damage. Yeah, and I was one tick away from dying, and just barely finished in time to use my health injection and survive. Or maybe you could say I did it ideally, and that was how it was supposed to be done. Yeah, those guys aren't that hard to jump by, as long as they're facing you. If they're facing away from you, then it's tricky to get on them. This is another vital boost. It's going to make it so that when I get through Nucleus, a whole bunch of enemies there don't one-shot me. I can at least take 2 hits from them. And it's really hard to not take a hit in Nucleus as you run through. So, most of the time you don't get on top of that guy that easy. Also, you can heal in the middle of a combo. I didn't dare because I didn't think it was going to be necessary, but it turns out that, yeah, he almost killed me. But yeah, if you start your attack combos, and as you hit your button to swing, then you start jamming the heal button as fast as you can. During the gap where it would let you start the next move of your combo, you can heal and then hit that button.
Warning. Assets have been damaged. Potential security breach detected. Initiating loss analysis.
You can also reduce your fall damage by doing like a sliding attack off of a height. So it's possible that I can save some time on those down shafts by just slide attacking down them and not doing a the actual shaft, the lift. The problem with that is that this whole next section is really dangerous, and you really need your heals for it. So you end up using up a bunch of healing items, then you may not survive the next part. However, I'm also pretty sure there's a way to do some really long falls without taking damage, because I successfully do it later on in this run. I just don't know all the timing.
A purge. Is that the game? Dispose of me like shadows?
Also, there's like 5 enemies in this room, but you may notice I only killed 3 of them. So there's me jamming the heal button until I heal in the middle of that combo. And the produce robots, once you knock them down, well, until you knock them down, they slowly heal. They heal themselves.
Years of toiling.
After you knock them down, they will get back up at full health, but then they will slowly take damage until they just die. It takes maybe 30 seconds after they get up. So this person, I knocked him down earlier, and now a single slide attack kills him. And then a jump at him head attack, followed by a jump at him head attack, just go into your regular next combo, allows you to cut their head off. These people are really nice, just running into my nice hallway of death. And you can briefly see in the back, there were 2 enemies there. There were 5 enemies in the room. I only killed 3 of them. For some reason, 2 of them, when I run to the other end of through those like back hallways, and I do this overcharge panel in order to access the boss, those 2 enemies try to get you in that room, and they get stuck in the door. Which means that even though there's a whole bunch of people here, you only have to kill a couple. And they just stay stuck there, which is really nice.
So tell me, who is the real monster? The wolf devouring the sheep, or the hunter murdering its cubs in their lair?
Attention, please. Contingency protocol for asset preservation has been activated.
So yeah, I slid there and I took damage.
Security breach detected.
Much later on, maybe 7 minutes from now, I'll do a much farther slide, and I'm not going to take any damage. A much farther drop while I slide. I think it has something to do with your end animation and where you are in that process. So maybe if you're coming out the slide to your animation attack up, you might be invincible for a quarter of a second or something. Yeah, so at this point I was probably 4 minutes and change ahead. Every single section had been gold or next to gold. And then, of course, this guy immediately like pokes me, and I end up losing like 20 seconds in this segment. So it was my only time loss from my previous best. And the previous time running across that pipe, or when I ran through here before, on that pipe was a scrap pickup. And if I recall, it'll still be there when you run back this way. So you can pick it up and save yourself a couple seconds by not doing it the first time. And I so far had I just ducked in here to set my save points in case these next people killed me, which is uncommon, but it does happen. because this attack that he does, if that lands, or if that lands, or if that lands, I die. There is a faster way to get to this elevator that might save a couple seconds, but instead of running past enemies that it's kind of easy to run around, there's like 3 dog bots in your way. And if any of them hit you, you basically die. Plus, you still have to get by those 3 guys at the end anyways. And there might be a dog chasing you as you go up to them. So at this point, I hadn't had too many runs that had gone this far, so I don't know my ideal setup for which implants to use.
For this sector.
But I do have enough things I've picked up to upgrade one of my legs to level 3, one of my arms to level 3, and then my weapons to level 3. Additionally, I didn't pick up the improved rig in Cooling Tower. It turns out that's unnecessary, because when you get the security rig, you actually get everything you'd have from the other rig as well.
Make sure to report any
And I don't really have enough core power to equip anything that the improved rig would grant me in terms of equipment slots. So it's basically useless in this run, so there's no point spending the time to get it.
Copy that. Right, the network's still down.
And one of the big time saves over the last time I had done a commentary video is how I handle the 2 bosses in here. There's actually a gimmick with this fight where the Black Cerberus boss will periodically in the fight run back and heal and summon a patch robot like the first boss that you fought in order to basically just keep trying to kill you. So you have to fight a Pax, and then you fight the boss for a bit, and then he goes and heals, and you have to fight other Pax robots. And if you're just playing through this normally, you might have to fight like 3 Pax robots. However, there's also 2 cooling tanks in this room. There's an orange dot thing right in front of me. And there's one in the back left corner there. And if the patch robot shoots either of those with its primary weapon, then depending on the one he shoots, it prevents the patch robot from being summoned in the future, or prevents the healing aspect for Black Cerberus. And I get caught off guard there because I'm used to my proficiency being at level 7 by the time I fight this guy. But since I had killed a handful fewer enemies to save time, my proficiency is only level 6. And previously, 2 jump and attack swing combos, plus my drone, would cause him to start doing his I'm going to go healing animation. Apparently that's not the case anymore. A 3-hit slide combo will actually knock off the panel. Then you use your adrenaline implant to slow down time. And then while time is slowed down, you can just wail on this guy, and you can one-cycle the boss. So my improvement with the packs was, 1, using the adrenaline implant to kill him faster, so one cycle. Also, I didn't realize I targeted his arm. I was wondering why I was doing way less damage. Yeah, it wasn't until maybe like here I realized, oh, I'm targeting his arm, not his head, that's why he's not being hurt as much. And now I'm targeting his head. Yeah, so if I was targeting his head the whole time, right there I could have decapitated him. And here you see he raises his hands. That was his I'm going to go back and heal. And if he went back and healed, he would have also summoned a patch robot, which meant the run would have just been dead because I would have had to spend an extra minute fighting the guy.
System error. User profile cannot be loaded.
I guess the run wouldn't have been dead, it just wouldn't have been anywhere near as good. I would have felt really, really dumb.
Profile loaded. Welcome, Captain. Your equipment has been unlocked.
So now, plot-wise, you can get the security rig. The security rig allows you to get through security doors.
Has been
Pro tip, don't forget to upgrade your rig to the security rig, because that has actually killed a couple runs where I forget to do that, and then I run to the first security door, and then it doesn't let you in. And here I'm like, oh, I haven't gotten this far in a while. What implants do I actually need? So then I waste a whole bunch of time flipping through menus. So yeah, there's a good 10 seconds of time saving.
Time, sir.
So here I slide, and I don't take any damage. So there might be a way to slide down every single one of those shafts damage-free. Which would probably cut 10 seconds or so off the run.
Authorization acknowledged.
Yeah, so I said before, the previous area, which security, which I cut as soon as I start accessing that first security door, that was about 20 seconds slower than previous runs. And this guy you have to kill. He comes in that elevator, and he can go back in that elevator, and that elevator doesn't let you go up until this guy's dead. He doesn't like have a key or anything, it just doesn't go up. The first time I speedrun this, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna run around this guy and hop in this elevator. And I'm like, oh, why isn't the door closing? And then the guy just jumps in and clobbers me in the face and I die. Now this part is really weird because he almost never does that. He has this little jump maneuver where he can flip over you, but it's really uncommon. And I wasn't sure what to do, so I just ran to the end and activated the security door. And then I panicked because he was right next to me. And when enemies are right next to you, they tend to just kill you. So I just dodged around and kept hitting the heal button and crossed my fingers. And thankfully it worked out. And the reason, yeah, so if you have all the health packs I had and the armor I had, you can just barely survive one of those rocket blasts. That's good to know.
Authorization acknowledged.
This guy, if you get too close to him, he'll actually try to run up and attack you. But if you get just the right distance, he'll run away and try to set you up for this ambush. But then you can just run around him. And I forgot to heal. But when things like that are the biggest mistakes in your run, you know you have a pretty good run. So the guys I just ran past, they tend to follow you for quite a while. They'll actually chase you, and if you fight these guys I'm right next to now, like the drones will show up, and they'll start smacking you while you fight. So the idea I had was, I'm going to fight as few of these guys as possible, and I just ran over to the security door and ducked in. And the run was so good so far, I was playing it safe to pick up the armor bonus for later on, but in the future I'll probably skip that.
Security level clear. Access granted. Lockdown deactivated.
So by running all the way over here, I sort of broke the tether of the
Lockdown deactivated.
drone that would normally follow you up. And now I'm running a ways away to break these guys' tether. At least that's my term for when people follow you a certain distance.
To your designated work areas.
So they can only go about to there. And then they turn around and run back to their home. And once they turn around and run back to their home, then I can try and get through this security door. Because I can generally survive 2 people trying to attack me.
Identity confirmed.
3 is pretty rough. So now on the way to exit, you have 3 drones, 2 security guard peoples, a dog bot, and a heavy security. Well, yeah, one from ran all the way up to me. My main strategy for these guys is hit their head a couple times and then decapitate them. So this boss, pseudo-boss, mini-boss, can be kind of hard. But thankfully, if you only focus on one of them, the other one eventually runs away. But I find that the heavy armor guy runs away faster and stays away. So there he is running away. And now I can fight this dogbot guy in peace. And if you get too close to him, he tends to hit you pretty hard. So I just do jump in, jump out. There's probably a way for me to use the adrenaline implant here to make these fights faster, or the kinesthetic amplifier. Yeah, unfortunately, I used that, and it just knocked him far away from me, which didn't really save any time. In fact, probably cost me a couple seconds. I'm always confused about this elevator. I don't know why they made it take so long to show up. Because it's just taking you to a loading screen. Like, I know a lot of times there's elevators in games and they use that to hide the loads, but you have a loading screen right here.
We're at the gateway to a new frontier here.
Yeah, so it's coming into nucleus, and I think at this point I was 4 minutes and something seconds ahead, 4 minutes and 4.5 minutes, 4 minutes and 45 seconds ahead of my previous best. And if I had a gold split here, I would have maybe gotten to the 1 hour and 1 minute and change. But my gold split for Nucleus is...
Hello.
Like,
Hello.
I haven't come close to that in a long time, so I don't really know what I did. Maybe I can go back and find the video. But I think one thing I'll do in the future is not do any upgrades here. And I'll just skip this whole interface and just stick with whatever armor I have already. And then also not break down any implant. Just say, okay, what do I have? Because right now I have core power 42, I have plus 9 from the ancillary core, and I get to 50. So I actually have one more
Be careful out there.
core power than I needed. And now you just run and pray.
Abort advisory is
I think right now I have 6 of the level 3, or 2 of the level 3 implant, vital injections, which is the health refill. And then 3 of the level 1 as my healing. I have a level 1 vital boost and maybe 3 level 3 vital boosts, 2 level 1 staminas and a single level 3 stamina. And for some reason, about 8 seconds of footage didn't upload correctly. So it kind of glitches there, and now you see my, if you're looking at the difference between the elapsed time, but actually I don't know if you can see the elapsed time, but my timer's now off by about 8 seconds. All I did was run to a exo lift and go up it, and that's what was cut out. Fun fact, be very careful around drones. If you run underneath them, you get stuck. Also, that was supposed to be a slide attack, not a jump to the far end and then turn around and fall down. Generally, with the help you have at this point, those big AI bot things can't one-shot you easily. At least not if you run by them. But if you don't have enough to avoid being one-shotted, then there's a couple places where they can totally kill you. But if you have enough where they can't one-shot you, then you can sit and wait for them to hit you twice for poison death ward. And the overcharge I had done just a second ago, open this path, and this is the path to the final boss. The final boss has 2 forms. First one's like the spidery kind of looking thing, or maybe spider crab would be a good description. And you have to discard 3 of its limbs. Second phase is a much smaller thing. It's kind of like a black Cerberus, except all its combos also charge at you. And I have the adrenaline injection equipped, but I really almost don't even use it in this fight. So there's probably a way to use that, or mechanized amplifier, whatever it's called, in order to speed this up.
God's meant to create, not destroy.
Yeah, sometimes you can swing at the light like as the person comes out of their previous stun thing from when you kill a previous leg. I just missed it. And that like swing out and kind of come down attack is really the one you want. Ideally, you just get to do that again and again and again for the first two limbs. And you can also use your drone to take some shots at the limbs as you run around and knock it down. But that first phase went pretty well.
It's not over yet.
And then you get the charge at you and swing and do a bunch of damage to you phase. And just as a proof of concept, in this whole boss fight, I only use the equivalent of just like use my level 3 health injector 3 times. So I barely use half the health that I brought into this fight. So it's definitely possible to do with less. Also, there is a maneuver you can do where when someone's attacking you, you block, jump, and basically punch them in the face, and that stuns them. So there's probably a way to include that in order to make the hits go faster, so you're not waiting for her to run at you and finish your combo. Because right now it's wait for her to finish combo, jump in, swing. And then, once it fades to black, that is when time stops. But as I said, I lost like 8 seconds earlier from where it didn't record me going up a ladder, so that is the end time. There's definitely some improvements to make, but overall I'm really happy with this run. Nothing major went wrong. Most of the things that I want to go fast went fast. The stuff that's left to really do big improvements to save time, I'm probably going to take a lot of effort to, to learn and do well, like the hardcore kill on Big Sister, learning to do the jump stun attack against the final boss, and maybe against Black Cerberus, in order to kill them quicker. And then just getting through the game with less health and less healing. Because if you can do that, then you don't need as much core power, then you don't need to pick up as many things, and you can save a bunch of time. And also figure out how I can drop down some of these chutes without taking damage. As you see, I went from a 107 in-game time to 102, so I'm pretty happy with that change. Hopefully you enjoyed the run, and maybe someday I'll get this thing under 1 hour.